Hello friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel Travel with Bharat Negi. And first of all, I will request you all to please like, share, comment and subscribe my channel. This video will be in English language. Today I am going to tell you about that country which is famous for its pyramids. Yes, you are right. I am talking about Egypt. Today I will tell you about 15 places to visit in Egypt. So let's get started without wasting any more time. Fifteen famous places to visit in Egypt are: first, Pyramids of Giza; second, Luxor's Karnak Temple and the Valley of the Kings; Islamic Cairo; Aswan, Felucus of the Nile at Aswan; Abu Simbel; Egyptian Museum; White Desert; Siwa Oasis; Alexandria; Saint Catherine's Monastery; South Sinai; Abydos Temple; Thistlegorm Drive Site; Nile Cruising; Saqqara. The last surviving of the seven wonders of the ancient world, the Pyramids of Giza, are one of the world's most recognizable landmarks. Built as tombs for the mighty pharaohs and guarded by the enigmatic Sphinx, Giza's pyramid complex has awed travelers down through the ages and had archaeologists scratching their heads over how they were built for centuries. Today, these megalithic memorials to dead kings are still as wondrous a sight as they ever were. As undeniable highlight of any Egypt trip, Giza's pyramid should not be missed. Famed for the valleys of the kings, Karnak Temple and the memorial temple of Hatshepsut, the Nile-side town of Luxor in Upper Egypt has a glut of tourist attractions. This is ancient Thebes, power base of the New Kingdom pharaohs, and home to more sights than most can see on one visit. While the East Bank brims with vibrant souk action, the quieter West Bank is home to a bundle of tombs and temples that has been called the biggest open-air museum in the world. Spend a few days here exploring the colorful wall art of the tombs and gazing in awe at the colossal columns in the temples, and you will see why Luxor continues to fascinate historians and archaeologists. The atmospheric narrow lanes of the capital's Islamic Cairo district are crammed full of mosques, madrasas, and monuments dating from the Fatimid through to the Mamluk eras. This is where you will find the labyrinth shopping souk of Khan al-Khalili, where coppersmiths and artisans still have their tiny workshops and stalls are laden with ceramics, textiles, spice and perfume. Surrounding the market is a muddle of roads, home to some of the most beautiful preserved architecture of the old Islamic empires. There is a wealth of history here to explore. Visit Al-Azhar Mosque and the dazzling Sultan Hassan Mosque, and make sure you climb to the roof of the ancient medieval gate of Bab Zuwela for the best minaret speckled panoramas across the district. Egypt's most tranquil town is Aswan, set upon the widening curves of the Nile, backed by orange-hued dunes. This is the perfect place to stop and unwind for a few days and soak up the chilled out atmosphere. Take the river ferry across to Elephantine Island and stroll the colorful streets of the Nubian villages. Ride a camel to the desert, Monastery of Saint Simeon on the east bank, or just drink endless cups of tea on one of the riverboat restaurants. while watching the Latin-sailed feluccas drift past. There are plenty of historic sites here and numerous temples nearby. But one of the Aswan's most popular things to do is simply kicking back and watching the river life go by. Even in a country festooned with temples, Abu Simbel is something special. This is Ramses II Great Temple, adorned with colossal statuary standing guard outside, and with an interior sumptuously decorated with wall paintings, justly famous for its megalithic proportions. Abu Simbel is also known for the incredible feat which saw the entire temple moved from its original setting, set to disappear under the water because of the Aswan Dam during the 1960s in a massive UNESCO operation that took 4 years. A treasure trove of the pharaonic world, Cairo's Egyptian Museum is one of the world's great museum collections. The faded pink mansion is home to a dazzling amount of exhibits. It's a higgledy-piggledy place with little labeling on offer and not much chronological order. But that's half of its old-school charm. Upstairs is the golden glory of King Tutankhamen and the fascinating royal mummies exhibits. But really every corner you turn here is home to some wonderful piece of ancient art or statuary that would form a highlight of any other museum. Egypt's cookiest natural wonder is the White Desert, where surreally shaped chalk mountains have created what looks like a snowy wonderland. In the middle of the arid sand, the landscapes here look like something out of a science fiction movie, with blindingly white boulders and iceberg-like pinnacles. For desert fans and adventurers, this is the ultimate weird playground. While anybody who's had their fill of temples and tombs will enjoy this spectacular natural scenery. Way out west, Siwa is the tranquil tonic to the hustle of Egypt's cities. This gorgeous little oasis, surrounded by date palm plantations and numerous freshwater springs, is one of the western desert's most picturesque spots. The town is centered around the ruins of a vast mud brick citadel that dominates the view. This is a top spot to wind down and go slow for a few days, as well as being an excellent base from which to plan adventures into the surrounding desert. The most European of Egypt's cities, Alexandria, has a history that not many others can match. Founded by Alexander the Great, home of Cleopatra and Razmataz, renegade city of the Mediterranean. For much of its life, this seaside city has an appealing days gone by atmosphere that can't be beaten. Although today, there are a few historic remnants of its illustrious past, featured in songs and books. This is a place made for aimless strolling along the seashore, Karnak, cafe hopping and souk shopping. One of the oldest monasteries in the world, St. Catherine's, stands at the foot of Mount Sinai, where Moses is said to have received the 10 Commandments. This desert monastery is home to an incredible collection of religious iconography, art and manuscripts, as well as the burning bush. For most visitors here, a trip to St. Catherine's also involves a hike up Mount Sinai to see sunrise or sunset. Take the camel path for the easy route or climb the famous steps of Repentance if you want better views. Egypt's center for beach fun is the South Sinai region on the Sinai Peninsula. Sharm el-Sheikh is a European-style resort full of luxury hotels, international restaurants, and bags of entertainment options. Dahab is a low-key beach town with a budget traveler heart, which is just as much about desert excursions and adventures as the sea. Up the coast, between the port town of Nueva and the border town of Taba are the bamboo hut retreats that offer complete getaway. From it all respites from life. Wherever you choose, the South Sinai is all about diving. The Red Sea is one of the top diving destinations in the world, and the South Sinai region is home to most of the best dive sites. Dusty Abydos town wouldn't make much of a rating on the tourism radar if it wasn't for the incredible temple on its doorstep. Abydos, Temple of Osiris, is one of the ancient Egypt's most fascinating artistic treasures. Its chunky columns and walls, covered in beautiful hieroglyphics and intricate paintings, are spellbinding sights, and even better, you can admire them without the crowds, as despite its dazzling beauty, it receives few visitors compared to the temples in nearby Luxor. Below the Red Sea's surface is another world as fascinating as the temples and tombs on land. Among the many coral reefs off the coast, there's also a glut of shipwrecks that have sunk in the Red Seas, Gulf of Gubal and Gulf of Aqaba. Of all the wrecks, the most famous is the Thistlegorm, an English World War II cargo ship that was on its way to resupply British troops when it was bombed by the Germans in 1941. Today, the site is regarded by divers as one of the top 5 wreck dives in the world. Due to the vast cargo of cars, motorbikes, and World War II memorabilia that can be seen both scattered on the seabed around the wreck and inside the ship itself. Dive boat trips to the wreck are organized from both Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada. Egypt is defined by the Nile. For many visitors, a multi-day cruise upon this famed waterway that saw the rise of the Pharaonic era is a highlight of their Egypt trip. Cruising the Nile is also the most relaxing way to see the temples that stud the banks of the river on the route between Luxor and Aswan. Plus, sunrise and sunset over the date palm studded river banks backed by sand dunes is one of Egypt's most tranquil vistas. The two famous sites on a Nile cruise are the Temple of Kom Ombo and Edfu's Temple of Horus, where all the big cruise boats stop. If you would prefer a less crowded and slower experience and don't mind roughing it a bit, you can also cruise the Nile by felucca, which also allows you to create your own itinerary. Cruise boats depart from both Luxor and Aswan, but feluccas can only be chartered for a multi-day trips from Aswan. Everyone's heard of Giza's pyramids, but they are not the only pyramids Egypt has up its sleeve. Day tripping from Cairo, Saqqara is the vast necropolis of the Old Kingdom pharaohs and showcases how the ancient Egyptians advanced their architectural knowledge to finally create a true pyramid with the step pyramid, bent pyramid and red pyramid being among the highlights here. The various tombs of port administrators with interior walls covered with friezes describing daily scenes scattered throughout the archaeological site are just as much a reason to visit as the pyramids themselves.